Great. Well, on behalf of MyTac, we are thrilled to welcome Alex Lenati from the Speakeasy Stage Company. Alex is the Community Programs Manager at Speakeasy Stage, and we'll talk about how Speakeasy has pivoted during the time of COVID and the pandemic, and how we've, continued the conversation about stage and the theater from afar. Um, we can't wait to hear more from Alex with joining the stage again, the place that we really miss so much. Um, so on that note, Alex, I'll have you take it away. And again, thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. We've really valued our partnership over the years, and I'm happy to be able to still connect with the community even in this very strange year. So, hello everyone. My name is Alex Lenati, as Diane said. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the community programs manager at Speakeasy Stage Company. I have been on the staff since 2014 in a whole slew of roles. And I've been in my current position for about a year and a half. My focus is on community engagement, building audiences, facilitating accessibility, and running pretty much all of the artistic programs that are not the productions themselves. So first and foremost, I'd actually like to begin with a land acknowledgement. So Speakeasy Stage Company and the Calderwood Pavilion, which we call our home, reside on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Massachusetts people, whose name was appropriated by the Commonwealth. We acknowledge the truth of violence perpetrated in the name of this country and will continue to both spread the word and explore ways that we can decolonize the spaces in which we present our art. Thank you. For those who aren't familiar, a land acknowledgement is a formal statement of recognition that we're operating on and benefiting directly from land that rightfully belongs to Indigenous communities taken without consent. The purpose of recognizing the original inhabitants of the land is to show respect, gratitude, and appreciation, to raise awareness of a history that's often erased, and to express support of and participation in efforts to dismantle the white supremacy present today. So this is a fairly new practice for Speakeasy and something that we're planning to incorporate into our day-to-day. We plan to share this acknowledgement at the start of each meeting where we have new folks present. So at virtual events, first rehearsals, when welcoming new board members, but it's also going to be available on our website and in our playbills. We may choose to feature it more prominently as we learn and grow. So, all right. I imagine many of you may be familiar with Speakeasy. So while I plan to give a little bit of history about the company, my main focus will be on how we've been able to get creative during the COVID-19 pandemic, our initial pivoting, and the new and exciting programming that we've created since. So let's get going. For those of you who aren't familiar or who need a refresher, Speakeasy Stage Company is a nonprofit theater company based in the South End of Boston. We're currently in our 30th season. We produce 5 or 6 plays and musicals that are brand new to Boston a year and we hope to compel thoughtful and lasting conversation with our work. I've put our mission up on the screen if you'd like to read that. All of our work is contemporary. You're not going to see a production of Hamlet or Hello Dolly at Speakeasy. While we very much love theater in all its forms, that's just not for us. In general, we try to tackle the most relevant and important issues of today. So we're committed to artistic excellence, but also to creating a space that allows our audiences the opportunity to see a wide range of identities and experiences on stage, in the hope that it'll help our community to better understand one another. So the past 29 seasons, this is pretty much an outline of our programming. Like I said, we create dynamic seasons full of Boston premiere musicals and plays, usually 5 to 6 a year. We offer supplementary programming to keep the dialogue going after the house lights come up, including audience discussions, post-show talkbacks, access to our artists. We focus a lot on contemporary musical theater. You may have seen our production of Fun Home, which that photo is from down below. We also have the Boston Project, which is our new works development program. We commission and provide dramaturgical support for Boston-based playwrights to develop new plays that explore what it means to live in our city. We have a fellowship program, and we have a number of apprenticeships and internships, because it is important to us that we help to train tomorrow's arts leaders. And we also cultivate the next generation of theater artists with our Thomas Dara Emerging Artist Fund. We hire new talent to begin their professional careers working alongside established theater artists, and that is named after Thomas Dara, who is a brilliant actor and educator who passed away a few years ago. And finally, we have our Access program. We strive to make our programs accessible to Boston's diverse and vibrant populations through a number of community partnerships and collaborations. That last bullet point is something that I'm particularly passionate about, and I've been working to expand our offerings. Specifically, I am very deeply interested in offering specialty performances that allow everybody to experience and enjoy Speakeasy, regardless of any particular needs they may have. My dream goal is to be able to offer open captioning, audio description, and sensory-friendly performances for every production we have. Realistically, that takes a significant amount of funding, so it may be a little bit of time until we get to that point where it's for every production, but we are very committed to that cause, and because we now have somebody in the role who makes sure that happens, we will get there as quickly as we can. So season 29, which was 2019 to 2020, we started strong. We had a production of Choir Boy by Terrell Alvin McCraney, who also wrote the Oscar-winning screenplay Moonlight. It was an amazing show with 8 young men performing crazy a cappella gospel singing and step dancing. It was really, really wonderful. We then had the show Admissions by Joshua Harmon. We've done a number of Josh Harmon shows in the past, including Bad Jews and Significant Other. I don't know if you saw those as well. It was a very timely exploration of white privilege and what it means to give up your seat at the table. In January, February of 2020, we presented a piece called Passover by Antoinette Nwandu. Honestly, one of the most powerful pieces I've ever seen, not only at Speakeasy, but maybe ever. It was a modern day retelling of Waiting for Godot, and was a lyrical investigation of how difficult it is for young men of color to move past their given circumstances. It was a challenging and controversial show, but it was very necessary and so incredible. And then we presented The Children by Lucy Kirkwood. It was a piece about a natural disaster that posed the question, who is responsible for the future of the world and how do we take care of our community? Ended up being significantly more timely than we anticipated, and it closed 2 weeks into its run when COVID struck. We were supposed to end with the musical Bright Star by Edie Brickell and Steve Martin, but of course that production was canceled. So that brings us to the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, we pivoted hard. As I mentioned, we canceled the remaining performances of The Children and all of Bright Star, which was a blow. We were about 2 weeks away from our Spring Gala, which is our largest fundraiser of the year. And so we quickly pivoted to a virtual gala. Though really it was kind of just a series of engagements over social media and email. This was still early enough that the concept of a virtual event had not been fully fleshed out yet, but we had some really great social media campaigns, including an amazing video of the Choir Boys performing a brand new medley, like in the classic, Brady Bunch style. We also did a home style gala look album of the Speakeasy staff. We all wore our gala best, but like lounging around the house. My dog was on my lap. I think I was holding up a box of Oreos. We kept the tone light. We then immediately started planning for a summer and fall of virtual programming. So right off the bat, some of the programming offered this summer was a play discussion club, which I will talk more about later, a series of virtual panels, including a reprisal of one that we did during Passover called 2020 Black and Male in America. We had offered that originally in January, and it was an incredible conversation. But then after the events of the summer, specifically the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless other Black Americans, this hit particularly hard. And that is still available if you're interested in seeing it, both on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. I think it's worth watch. And then we also created the Boston Project podcast. So as I mentioned a couple slides ago, the Boston Project is our New Works initiative that supports the creation and development of new plays specifically set in Boston. We were just finishing up the second year of development of a play called The Usual Unusual by MJ Halberstadt. And we're set to have a final public staged reading, but obviously could not do that. So instead we pivoted and we created a fully episodic audio play. We got to give credit to MJ. It was his idea fully. He wanted to come up with a creative way to still engage with our audiences when we couldn't be in person. And he came up with this amazing idea to make a podcast. So everything was conducted over Zoom, including we had a week-long rehearsal process. We had an actor, a stage manager, though we called them a Zoom manager. And we walked each of the actors through building mini recording studios in their homes, mostly in their closets. It was wild, but the final product was amazing. It is still available for free on any streaming service, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. They're each like 20 to 30 minutes in chunks, or there's the full one that ends up being like between 2 and 2.5 hours. So yeah, oops, technology. You'd think almost a year in, I'd have figured it out. We also took this time for some really important internal systemic growth and reflection. I think a lot of nonprofit organizations are taking this time to realize their own compliance in systemic racism that's happening, that is so ingrained in our country. So we are doing so as well. And next week, we will officially launch or share with the world our Equity and Anti-Racism Action Plan. We have been working on it since May, and it is fantastic. It outlines our short-term and long-term goals, our commitments, our beliefs, our values. I'm really proud of the work we've done. And then, of course, all summer, we just did a bunch of scenario planning. Honestly, even we only just announced that we won't be returning until the fall, like a week ago. My goodness, we had no idea. Every step of the way, we thought, well, maybe we can come back maybe we'll be able to have Bright Star in June. Maybe we'll be able to come back in the fall. Maybe we'll be able to come back in January. Maybe we'll be able to come back in May. And it's been difficult to not know. And I think we're on budget like 14 or something. But so yeah, a lot of fun times with that. So a pro EndeCon, this is our 30th anniversary season. So that's a shame, because we had a lot of enormous plans, including a fabulous season of shows, many of which we'll bring back in the future, but also, just some big parties. So we still wanted to celebrate. And actually the pro aspect is people wanted to celebrate with us. So we decided to host a benefit concert, a virtual concert, which we premiered in November. And there was one live showing, quote unquote, where folks could chat with each other. And then it was able to stream for 5 days afterwards. There were it couldn't be longer, and it's not still available because of the union that we use for actors. But it was a completely pre-recorded, highly produced concert, about an hour 10, that celebrated 30 seasons of Speakeasy. One of the really great things about doing it virtually is we were able to engage folks all across the country. So we brought back a lot of our alumni, even from 15 years ago. It was hosted by Delon Grant, who has recently been in Come From Away on Broadway, but he also is known for our production of the Scottsboro Boys. And it had over 24 alumni in it. It was pretty awesome. I mean, I'm speaking with incredible bias, as it took up many, many months of my life, but I think it was pretty awesome. because we had no idea what it was going to be, and if people would pay to watch an online show, we set a goal of $20,000, and we made over $110,000. It was absolutely incredible, and is going to make sure that we are able to come back. So I'm very grateful for the support of our community. Just I also wanted to show another graphic of all of the headshots of folks who were in the show. We had so many amazing people perform, a combination of solos, duets. We even had some group numbers, where we superimposed everybody all together. And you'll recognize, well, if you've come to Speakeasy before, you'll recognize a lot of these faces. We were able to film a little bit in person. We couldn't film any of the actors who are part of Equity, which is the union. So we just pretty much kept it to our staff. But if you remember, any of you who frequent Speakeasy, you will recognize the face of Speakeasy, our dear Jim Torres, our marketing director, who we were back in the Calderwood to film these little segments. And I got to tell you, walked in on the day of shooting, started to cry because it was so overwhelming and wonderful to be back in the theater. So, okay. I wanted to potentially take a quick pause here and see if we had any questions about what we've done before I talk about what we're going to do. Do we have any questions?
We don't have any questions yet in the chat. We can give a couple seconds to see if any of our participants want to jot anything in there. But I mean, I'm blown away by that 110,000 fundraiser. That's incredible.
Yes,
wow, that's amazing.
It was really amazing. And we also realized there was a lot of opportunity, and something that we've seen kind of across the board is that the level of entry that being virtual provides, I mean, access wise, even just as basic as if this were a one night only performance, we would have the ability to fill our 200 seat theater, and that was it. Whereas we had over 1,000 different people watch this concert, or the fact that it was at a much more reasonable price point. If it was a classic fundraiser, we would have had a higher cost because there's a bit of philanthropy involved in that, buying a ticket to a fundraiser. But we had a number of ticket levels, and we said pretty much pay for whichever level you feel is right for you. And so it ended up being great. All right, well, if we don't, we'll do more questions at the end. Also, I might just be doing such a great job explaining everything. Wow. So looking forward, we have a number of programs that we're going to be filling our spring with, and I'm going to tell you about them. So back in May, we kicked off our Play Discussion Club, which is pretty much a book club, but we read plays. It was originally held weekly, and folks would read the plays ahead of time. Most participants would purchase a copy of the play, but we had a couple underwritten as well if that was a barrier of entry. And then we all met over Zoom for an hour. We had a discussion and then an artist Q&A. There were 5 series between May and November, each which had a different theme. And we found that these first 5 all had a theme around identity. And they were 4 or 5 plays each. One of again, when we're talking about access, and because everybody who has access to a computer could participate no matter where they were located, we found that we were able to engage a lot of artists that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise, specifically playwrights, which was very, very exciting. So this picture here, in our very first series we did, the topic was queer stories on speakeasy stages, and we talked about Fun Home. We wanted to do a musical, so we did Fun Home. And if you'll see here, 3 down, all the way on the left, that would be Janine Tesori, and all the way in the bottom right is Lisa Crone, who are the creators of Fun Home. It was hard not to get a little starstruck, but we've had a number of pretty big name playwrights join us for the conversation. We at one point read the play Cost of Living, which won the Pulitzer, and the playwright Martina Mayok came. We had Jocelyn Bio, who wrote our production, the piece we did, Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play 2 years ago, but also the piece that we read in our play discussion club. She's also writing the screenplay to the Once on This Island musical adaptation. So it was an incredible experience. We are going to continue the play discussion club this spring. We are going to announce what that schedule is, I think, in 2 weeks. But they've been very popular, so I hope you'll join us for them. It's a lot of fun to read a script and just talk about art. We miss it. We also have a new program called Speakeasy University. We originally started this in the fall. That it has a substitute for our internship program, because not only could students not participate in an internship program, but in general, the concept of unpaid internships is coming under the microscope right now, because there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, are not able to complete an unpaid internship. So we wanted to provide the kind of knowledge that you might learn in an internship at Speakeasy, but for anybody who is interested. We actually found, though, that there was a significant interest from across demographics. So current students studying the arts, early career arts administrators, artists looking to diversify their skill sets, and then a number of lifelong learners who are just interested in learning more about theater. The first semester, quote unquote, that we did this fall was every week we focused on a different aspect of the theater. Season selection, marketing, development, production, etc. And we brought in panelists from across the city. This second semester, we are going to also cover all different aspects of the theater world, but we are going to do so through the lens of a specific show, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So each week we will once again deep dive into a different aspect of the theater world, but we will do so and by explaining how we did it when preparing for our production of Curious Incident. So for example, it will be directing. Paul Daigneault, our founder and producing artistic director, who also directed Curious Incident, will talk about what his experience is as a director, how he directed Curious Incident, from casting the show, working with designers, being in rehearsal, tech, etc. We'll talk about marketing, not only like marketing 101, but specifically applying it to, here's an example marketing campaign for Curious Incident. Here's how we designed the graphics for Curious Incident. We just think it will, it's a show that a lot of people are familiar with. Not only our production was fairly well received, but a lot of people read the book that it is based on. So we thought that might be interesting. And then also because it'll just have those real life experiences, those real life examples. So that kicks off February 9th. They'll run every Tuesday from 5 to 6:15, and there are 8 weeks of that. It's all pay what you can. So if anybody's interested in popping in, you can pay, you cannot pay. We just want you to come. And it's completely a la carte. It is not, you don't have to sign up for all 8. You can truly just go in and say, I'm interested in learning about directing, so I'm going to sign up for this one. Join us just for the one. Or you can come to all of them, whichever. So yes, that's going to be really fun. And then finally, we have just announced that we are doing a virtual spring season. We're really excited about this. We have been so desperate to get back into the rehearsal room, back into production, and our audiences have really missed it as well. So we are going to explore this whole virtual world. Each of these 3 plays will be able to be streamed online. We will be filming them ahead of time. So it won't be like a Zoom reading. It will be a fully produced film, if you will. But it will still have that live performance feel. It will be actors performing live, and then we will stream it to our audiences. So just to go over the shows really quickly. So we're going to kick it off with The Pink Unicorn by Elise Fourier-Eady. It's a one-woman show about a mother trying to come to terms with her genderqueer teen's identity and how difficult the world makes it for those who are different. It's very funny and heartfelt. It's a beautiful story of the journey from tolerance to acceptance to solidarity. And that will premiere in March. The second one is TJ Loves Sally Forever by James Iams. So this is a biting and incredibly brilliant satirical piece that's like very loosely inspired by Thomas Jefferson and his obsession with Sally Hemings. It's set on a current day college campus with a young female student who is faced with unwanted advances from the dean of students. The piece is absolutely bananas. It is funny, it is smart, it is absurd. I have no idea how we're going to do it, and I cannot wait to see it. That will be in April. And then finally, the Boston Project, Project Resilience. So to celebrate the distinct and enduring spirit of Boston, Speakeasy is commissioning 5 playwrights to each write a brand new site-specific 10-minute play that celebrates the resilience of our city. We're actually accepting applications from playwrights through February 15th, and then we'll choose 5 to develop over the next like 2 months. Each one will be a 10-minute monologue that we will film in person. So if it is a Red Sox fan and his story, we may film it at Fenway. An example. I don't know if we can film at Fenway, but ultimately we will edit them together so that it culminates in one complete piece, and that will premiere in June. Like I said, all of them will be available to stream. Subscriptions are available now. I believe they are $75 for all 3, and then I think it's $30 for all 3 for students. And then single tickets will go on sale soon. We will also, as we get closer, have a number of discounts for different populations. If you're interested though, speakeasystage.com/subscribe-2021. So to summarize, if you have heard all this and think, wow, I want to play, we've got a lot of things that you can participate in. I really would love for you to sign up for Speakeasy University or our Play Discussion Club. I host both of those. We will also have a specialty panel for each of those 3 plays, which will premiere on our Facebook to be announced. And also you can, of course, buy tickets to our virtual performances. And finally, if you fancy yourself a playwright or know people who are playwrights, you can absolutely submit a proposal to Project Resilience. All of this is on our website. And just to end things, I had to throw my glamour shot in. Oh, there I am, back when we used to wear pants and makeup. But yeah, so that's the summary. I'd love to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. This was a great presentation.
Thank you.
For those 3 shows that are coming up virtually,
Yes.
that week range, is that is it a limited run similar to the concert that you premiered?
That's right. So as of right now, they're each going to be a week. We're still deciding whether or not they will have specific airing times, like if they were in person, or if it will be something you can stream at any point. So more details coming soon. They will have the possibility of extension if the demand is fantastic. But for now, we're aiming for them to each be about a week.
They sound so intriguing. I might have to get myself a subscription.
Yes, wonderful. We'd love for you to come.
We have another question about the actors and how they felt about having to go virtual, not having an audience to act off of. How are they doing that with these virtual performances?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's difficult. The artists we usually work with have been sort of scrambling to adapt to this new world. I know a lot of my close friends who are actors very quickly have learned how to work on film, they got a ring light and upped their equipment and, immediately started pivoting to self-taping. But there's nothing that fully is a real substitute for being on stage. And I know folks are desperate for it. There have been a number of online readings and things like that, but folks are just trying to, adapt and stay creative. We found that by the time we did our concert in November, folks had about 6 months of experience working virtually and filming themselves. So by the time we had little production meetings with each of them, we were ready to like walk them through, here's how you film at the highest quality, here's how you light yourself, and each of them were like, oh yes, I have this professional microphone, I have this ring light, this is my setup. And we're like, oh no, you've got this now. So we were lucky to have folks who are used to it, but ideally at some point that won't be necessary anymore. As far as like these 3 pieces that we're about to do, everyone's really excited about the opportunity to get back into a rehearsal, even if it is over Zoom, just to, stretch those muscles. So I think folks are just ready to jump into something artistic, no matter the format. I'm going to put on just a slightly different hat for just a moment and say that outside of Speakeasy, I'm also on the board of an organization called the Theater Community Benevolent Fund, TCBF, tcbf.org. And it's an organization that exists to provide emergency relief to artists in need. I've been on the board for 5 years now, and it has always existed, or not always, but for 20 years it's existed, for if somebody has a fire in their home or emergency dental surgery or something and needs like unrestricted, discreet support. But obviously during COVID, it went from us getting 3 or 4 applications a year to us getting 15 applications a week. And so artists are hurting. I want to make this light and fun and silly, but the truth is that this has been a really hard year for artists. I feel very lucky that Speakeasy is still up and running and able to give work to artists when we can, and that I am still employed. But a lot of like freelance artists, this has been a really tough time. And so organizations like TCBF, and there are a number of both private and state-run organizations that are providing relief to artists, and hopefully we just get back soon so that we can get people back on their feet.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a critical aspect of everything that we're talking about here. If Anthony put it in the chat, but if you one more time want to say that website for anyone listening.
Yes, it's tcbf.org.
Great.
That's both,
Thank you.
if you are an artist or know an artist who needs assistance, that's all the information on how to apply is right there. But also if you would like to support, all of the funds that we give are from generous donors.
Incredible.
We don't have any overhead. All of it goes back to the actors, all artists, designers, technicians, directors, stage managers.
That's amazing. And then we have another question as far as the kind of concert production went back for the 30th anniversary. Any plans for another one similar to that?
That's an excellent question, and probably. So yeah, we usually have 2 big fundraisers a year, our fall benefit and our spring gala. And it's not looking like we're going to, well, we're certainly not going to have an in-person event with 200 people at it in the spring. So we're exploring different ways that we can do something else special to continue the celebration of our 30th. We want it to be something new. We don't want to just do the same version or a slightly different version of what we did this fall. But I do think we'll end up doing some sort of concert like that, either an in-concert version of a show or another concert with a number of songs and monologues on a theme. I keep an eye out for May. We're definitely going to do something, and it'll be great. I promise.
That's great. Something to keep our eyes out for. That seems to be it as far as questions. Thank you for such an incredible presentation.
Well, thank you for having me. It was really wonderful to, I don't know, just get to talk about art. I think I put, that is my email address. If anyone has any questions at any point, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm always willing to, especially these days, grab a virtual cup of coffee and talk about theater and how much we can't wait for it to come back.
Alex, thank you again so much. I've been, like I said, so impressed with Speakeasy Stage and what you've done, since the arrival of COVID, and the virtual programming, and the upcoming spring looks fantastic.
Thank
It
you.
looks so fun. And it'd be just great to revisit the stage, virtually or
Yes.
otherwise. Oh,
It
it-
might not fully scratch the itch, but it'll take a step in the right direction.
oh, definitely. So applause for all that you've done,
Thank you.
and continue to do.
Thank you. And we will be back. There is no question about it. Again, we're so very fortunate to have the incredible support, mostly of our community, but also from a number of granting organizations that are going to make sure we get through this. So thank you to everyone who has participated in anything at Speakeasy.